The final UFC event of the year is finally over. UFC Tampa has just come to a close, and America is not being made great again today because Colby Covington unfortunately did lose. We had Joaquin Buckley winning in round 3 because of a doctor's stoppage. Now, I already know when it comes to Colby Covington, he is going to be able to weasel his way out of just thinking that he was dominated or anything like that, because he got the cut, he didn't get knocked out or anything like that. And to be fair to Colby, he did show a lot of heart. I mean, he was really digging deep on those entries to try and get Buckley down, but Buckley has shown amazing takedown defense. I mean, just a pure strength when it comes to him posturing and his sprawls. Yeah, Colby was having a pretty rough day at the office, and I will say it was pretty rough as well, coming to that first takedown entry that Covington got and then just nicking the side of his eye, and that just split his eyelid open. And you already knew from the first round, if that was going on any further, eventually it was gonna be over from a doctor's stoppage, because by the time it hit the second round, where Buckley was landing some nice jabs, which honestly, that was just the main strike that he needed. If anyone's ever cut, the jab, just flick jab all day, 100%, because that is what's going to open up those cuts. And that's what he was doing at the end of the second round. And there was blood absolutely everywhere, and it was like thick pools of blood as well. There was blood all over Buckley's knee. I mean, obviously all over his bloody arms and chest, because when Colby got him down and got into half guard and controlled him there, I mean, it was definitely rough. But let's rewind a little bit to before the fight just happened. I mean, we gotta recognize Covington walked out with Hulk Hogan and obviously the man, the myth, the legend, bloody Chael Sonnen as well. And Chael Sonnen, when they went off and did the coach view, I mean, he said like absolutely nothing. He's like, great defense, and that's it. We did not get anything from Chael Sonnen on a coach's insight, and that was just kind of like the moral of the story there. Colby Covington is just a character. I mean, coming in on short notice, you got to give credit to him there, but yeah, this was a rough stylistic fight to take, I won't lie. But I did have Covington in my predictions. I did think that he would be able to manage through and get through the 3rd, 4th, and 5th and really win on that control, because we haven't seen Buckley's stamina be the ultimate best. And I mean, we haven't seen him at 5 rounds either, so there are a lot of unknowns there. And Covington's striking over time did improve a lot, and he was throwing some pretty nice shots in this fight. He did hit Buckley with some nice ones as well. He hit him with like the spinning like switch kick, which was extremely nice, but obviously Buckley did just block it. But ultimately, it was pretty entertaining for what we got of it, but it was an anticlimactic ending at the end of the fight, obviously. Now, for Joaquin Buckley, who is next? Obviously, his post-fight speech, we got something a bit unique when it came to, he asked the crowd, obviously, so there was a few people leaving when he was asking. He was like, you don't want to leave because you guys are going to choose who my next opponent's going to be, or influence it at least. Now, there was Leon Edwards, there was Kamaru Usman, and then there was obviously him fighting Belal Muhammad for the title. Now, Kamaru Usman, I think, is hopefully going to be fighting JDM at UFC 312, because I'm going to UFC 312, so I'm praying that happens. But I just don't know if that will line up, because when it comes to Buckley just coming out and just obviously winning this fight, I just don't know if Kamaru Usman is going to be at that point where he wants to fight someone like Buckley, who is technically just out of that top 5. I think Kamaru Usman is going to be wanting someone in that top 5, only coming off a championship loss, and obviously coming off Khamzat Chimaev loss, which was up at middleweight, so it doesn't really count. I think Kamaru Usman is wanting someone that's a little bit tighter into that top 5, because he does have that right, which is JDM, and that's a good stylistic matchup for Kamaru Usman as well, compared to Buckley, realistically, especially with Buckley showing this kind of takedown defense. So that's where I do believe it's not going to be Belal. He's not getting the title shot. Yeah, I think he should fight Leon Edwards. I think that'll line up well. Leon's been out since UFC 304. Buckley took pretty much no actual direct, realistic, serious damage. He can come back pretty quick turnaround, I do think, and he is game. He's fought like 4 times in 2024. He's done an amazing job. And Leon Edwards, teeing up to that, I think they could probably fight maybe around March, possibly April. I think that is a good fight to make. Now, Colby Covington on the other side, where does he go? Colby Covington is tricky because he doesn't have like all his bragging rights stripped away and everything because he didn't get flatlined. He needed to get cold KO'd. That's what was needed to really shut Covington up, but that's not happening. He's going to be able to find something that will get him a favorable matchup. That's without a doubt, because at the end of the day, I mean, he does sell. He sells out crowds. He is very entertaining because he is so controversial. Now, who could he get next? It's going to be hard for him. I don't have a name realistically, because looking at the welterweight division, looking at the guys like Morales, you got Prates, you got these guys coming up that he is not going to want to go against. You've got these bloody killers. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he wants like Michael Venom Page. I think that could be a fight that we could get next. Obviously, MVP is going to be fighting on Feb 1st against Shara Bullet up at middleweight, but looking at seeing how Ian Gary was able to exercise his ground game against MVP, I think Colby would be licking his chops at that and seeing that, oh, I can take out this dynamic striker and take him down and beat him. And same thing, could possibly fight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I think that that is probably the avenue that Covington might be going for next. I don't think he wants anyone that has ridiculous KO power or that is extremely strong like Buckley to counteract his wrestling. Now, looking at the co-main event, we had Cub Swanson versus Billy Q, and I am happy and confident that I picked Cub for this fight. I was very, very confident in him. He looked extremely good for 41 years old. This being a possible retirement fight as well, 100%, I was pretty sad that he didn't take his gloves off and retire. Obviously, not my place to say, but I just think it was the perfect opportunity for him to retire in this fight. Left hook, right straight down the pipe, absolutely kills Billy Q. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful performance, beautiful knockout. Would have been like the fairy tale ending for him to go out, especially as a co-main event of a fight night as well. It's going to be tricky for him to get any form of main event or anything like that, being that old now. He's not going to be fighting that kind of serious competition. Does suck for Billy Q. Obviously lives like 15 minutes away from the stadium, but as I said in the predictions, he's just looked, honestly, he's had some wins, but he's looked sloppy in his last 5 fights, and I just was not entertained by it compared to Cub Swanson's unorthodox bloody striking style. I didn't see that happening. Obviously, Billy Q did have a decent second round. Was landing pretty good shots, knees in the clinch as well, especially, but yeah, Cub just looked fresher. He was landing those straight strikes down the pipe extremely well. Obviously, the last one extremely well, and yeah, he just did such a fantastic job. And it does suck for Billy Q, obviously, but Cub Swanson, man, it was 100% his day. Now, moving down the main card to a guy that is honestly just insane. He makes every single moment that he is just present in ridiculous. Manel Kape. Manel Kape, cannot shit on him at all. He was extremely entertaining, but the guy was in flow state. This is the best he has ever looked in any form of octagon, rise and ring, anything. He looked incredible. Absolute flow state. He was getting hit with some shots here and there, but man, his ability to shift off to the right whenever Bruno Silva would just absolutely berserk at him, and then he would just turn and then just counter every single time. He was just landing shots, consistent like 4 to 5 strike combinations, in combination with him taunting, doing emotes as well during the fight. I mean, he was just having so much fun in there, and as cringe and as just outright insane as he is half the time, you cannot blame him for really calling out for that opportunity for a title fight. He was extremely entertaining on this card, and we look back at his last fight that he did lose against Makayev. He didn't lose badly in any way, shape, or form. Makayev also cheated against him as well, obviously pulling his pants down and getting fruity on him, and also, you know, a few glove grabs and everything in there is just a bit dirty. I mean, obviously he's not around anymore, but looking at at Manel Kape and what he should do next, obviously he's called out, he's spoken to Dana White, he wants the title shot. Is he going to get it next? I don't think he will. Because he is ranked 9th. I mean, obviously Pantoja is just ransacking the whole entire bloody division, but I think that Pantoja should be fighting the right Kai next. Not Kai Asakura, Kai Kara-France. I think that is the fight that we need next, because there's an origin story there through Tough. They've fought before. Obviously Kape and Pantoja have fought before, but Kai has just looked a bit better at the moment, and he's just been having better outcomes in that top 5 range, which Manel Kape just hasn't. Kai's just been there for a lot longer, and he really needs the shot now. Now, where does that leave Manel? I think that if the Kai Kara-France and Pantoja fight doesn't work out, 100% book Manel Kape and Kai Kara-France, because they hate each other, and entertainment would be just flying off the walls. I would absolutely love that fight to happen. They've been beefing since UFC 293. Now, aside from that, I think the next best fight would probably be against Brandon Moreno, because Brandon Moreno obviously had a fantastic performance against Amir Albazi, but he also lost to Brandon Royval. So there is a bit of a skew there, because Brandon Royval fighting Tatsuro Taira and beating him in a really good fight, Royval is technically above Moreno in terms of that pecking order to get that fight against Pantoja, as well as Kai Kara-France at this point as well. So Moreno, looking for that title fight, he's going to be out for a bit of time, and having Manel Kape against Moreno, really like good versus evil, I think that would be a fantastic fight to make. Now, the last thing I want to touch on in the main card is Daniel Marcos and fighting Adrian Yanez. He did a fantastic job in that fight. It was a great fight all around. I mean, Marcos was definitely slowing down towards the end, and that's just credit to Yanez's bloody gas tank. I mean, the guy took a lot of shots from Daniel Marcos, and Daniel Marcos, I think he won pretty much rounds 1, 2, and 3. He was landing the better shots, cleaner shots, was just timing his shots better in the exchanges. But every single exchange they had, they were throwing pretty much everything. It was a very, very entertaining and underrated fight on this fight card. But the main thing I wanted to talk about with this is not the fight itself, it's Daniel Marcos and his call out. Daniel Marcos, he is 17-0. He needs a top 15 fight. And I think he should get the call out that he made. I think that he should be able to fight the 11th ranked Jose Aldo. I think that fight would be fantastic, because if Jose Aldo isn't going to be fighting like Dominic Cruz or Henry Cejudo, I think Daniel Marcos is the next best thing. I think it would be great just to see their striking exchanges. We're probably not going to see any real ground game. And Marcos is really showing in those exchanges how just fluid he is. And a guy that is just as good in that department, obviously better, is Jose Aldo. But testing Marcos against an aged Jose Aldo, it's really just going to show how good either Marcos is to jump through into that top 10, or how good Jose Aldo is to stay around that top 10. Obviously he's 11th, but stay around that top 10 and compete against guys within that ranking position. So that, I think, would be a great matchup to make. Now, moving into the prelims, I've got 2 fighters to watch for you guys. Joel Alvarez for 1. This guy, get him a goddamn top 15 fight immediately. He is incredible. He is amazing. I mean, just the 100% finish rate for his wins for starters, but looking at him against Drakkar Close, who is a hard guy to finish, and Drakkar got a very nice double leg, slammed him on the ground. Alvarez got back up and was just walking Drakkar down easily. He was barely even moving, and just a couple shots down the pipe, gone. Drakkar's down, straight on the ground, drops on the ground, obviously tries to get back up. He's pretty much out completely, and then Alvarez gets him in a bloody guillotine and then just starts hitting him in the guillotine. So technically he got a KO and a submission in one go. So if that's not saying anything, man, get him a top 15 fight, and I'm telling you, make Joel Alvarez versus Jalen Turner in the top 15 for his breakthrough fight. That would be an incredible fight, because with got two guys that are extremely tall. Both are very dangerous strikers, but it gives Jalen Turner that opportunity to try and redeem himself on the ground if it does get there, to defend against Alvarez, who might take it there and is 17-0 with submissions. So I think it's just redeeming factors either way. It gets Alvarez into the top 15, or it really shows Jalen Turner rounding out his game, and it gives us a very interesting physical stylistic matchup. Please make that fight and take my money. And the last fighter that I want to point out is Felipe Lima. This guy is one of the most exciting prospects coming through at the moment. Super entertaining, fast-paced fight against Miles Johns, who is a very dangerous fighter himself. But Lima at featherweight, not his natural weight class, is now on a 14-fight win streak. The performance that he put on is just absolutely showing that he is a prospect that seriously needs to be looked out for. Extremely light on the feet, mixed his combinations up together extremely well. He feinted a flying knee, landed a hook, and then threw a jab straight down the pipe, all in one combination. He is just so fluid in all these different kind of combinations, whether they're unorthodox or not, and he is just seriously a threat, because he's not only on the feet and how fast he is and how good he is with his movement, either pressuring forward or moving on the outside defensively, on the ground as well. He's got the submission threat. He was able to take Miles Johns' back on multiple occasions. When Miles Johns got his back, he managed to slip him off as well. He's got just everything going for him at this point at 24 years old. I mean, he is a serious problem, and even his striking is just so crisp and clear, and it like reflects, like, even with his uppercut, that power uppercut that he landed on Miles Johns that wobbled him a bit. It's like the Gustafsson like power uppercut that he was landing on Glover Teixeira back in the day. He just has such good technique and timing, and then even in trips as well, he's got outside trips to get bloody Miles Johns down, who's got a wrestling base as well. So ultimately, extremely well-rounded prospect. He has pretty much got no holes that I can see at the moment, and he's got the strength as well. He's got the strength, the speed, power, the submission threat. He has got everything, and he is a good size for featherweight, and he can jump down to bantamweight as well. For 24 years old, this guy is seriously looking like the complete package, so he is a fighter that you need to watch. I hope you enjoyed UFC Tampa, and I hope you enjoyed this recap video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and check out the video on the screen, and I will catch you in the next one.